as you're talking, I'm wondering, is one of the instruments that you are taking into account the observer, consciousness?
Yeah.
It has to
Well,
be,
no, it's
right?
not consciousness. The key
It's the
question is,
observer.
what is the observer?
What is the observer?
What is
Not who?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, one of the old jokes is, who's the observer? Is it your father? Was his father the observer? Is it passed down
Yeah.
It's a weird way in which you're talking technically, and then you say this thing that's like, then the observer makes an observation and a measurement, and you're thinking, how did a human get into that story?
Yeah. Well, the observer's a difficult, let's just dissect that for a second, because you have the ability as an individual to actually observe yourself. You're able to, one of the things that meditators of the Vedanta and, these kinds of things practice is observing what is happening. So their meditation would be something like, I'm going to sit quietly and I'm going to just see what happens. So I'm going to watch the thoughts come into my mind.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to watch my emotions, my body go through its emotions. My face will get hot, my heart will beat faster. I'm going to observe my physical body in this as a cloud of sensation, which you can do. And you can get very, very good at stepping out of that and watching all of that phenomena. So if you have anxiety, you can treat it almost like the same thing as when you burn your finger a little bit. It's just data. You just interpret the raw data of said thing. Now, then the question becomes, who's doing the observing? And we tie our identity so closely to our emotions, our physical body, and our minds, our thoughts, our memories. But what if there's somebody else watching all of that? And in fact, there is. And if you have any doubts about the power of that kind of exercise, see 1963 when that Buddhist monk was protesting. I think his name was the president of South Vietnam, who was a staunch Catholic, and protesting that president's treatment of Buddhists in his own country. And he lit himself on fire.
Perfectly still.
And didn't move. And I think it was David Halberstam from the New York Times who said, he just keeled over. I just heard the air expel from his lungs. And as his acolytes were crying. But that's a guy who had already left his body. That's a guy who was watching himself and had already left behind this avatar. So back to the observer, that's a hard thing to pin down.
It's a really beautiful illustration of a very tough point. I don't think I've ever heard that.